Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for this 4th day of October 2018. I hope everyone's doing well today. Thanks so much for stopping by. If it's your first time here, I'd love you to click subscribe if you like. I write a blog called Stepping Aside. It's over at imsteppingaside.com. And so I do these little tarot and rune readings 4 days a week, typically. And to kind of support what I do over there. And sometimes I do, monthly I do a tarot reading. Sometimes I do some rune castings over there on the blog and write them up. And I also do a geomancy reading for the month. And the tarot and the geomancy readings are up, by the way, on the blog if you want to check those out for the month. They're kind of interesting. I love geomancy. I've been doing that for a while now. And it's an interesting divination tool. A little hard to do here, but it's just another way of looking at how energies align and all of that. So, but what I do here is I shuffle a little bit, talk a little bit, and then I count 13. I was born on the 13th of October, actually. And so that's coming up. I'll be 61 on that birthday. But 13 tends to figure prominently in my life. So when I do pull a card, I'm going to count 13 to get to it. It's just what I do. You don't have to. It is not required. Every tarot reader has their own method. And mine's just that. So let's count 13 and see what we have for today. All right, the 5 of Swords. This is an interesting card. It can be seen, a variety of different ways. We're on a 5-day today. I forgot to say that. Usually I open with numerology for the day. So let me do that real quick. Today, I'm not using the year in the numerology for the day because 2018 is actually an 11 year, which is a master number for illumination. So I don't want to include that in the day, not this year anyway. Maybe next year, we'll see. But, next year it'll be catalytic, it'll be a 3. So yeah, I'll probably include that in next year's numerology. But for now, we'll leave 2018 alone as an 11 year. But 10 and 4 is 5, 1 and 4 is 5. So we have a 5-day. And numerology is about reduction if you don't know about that. And so what you would do is you would add 10 and 4 together to get 14, 4 and 1 together to get 5. And that's how you reduce it down to the actual numerology that you need to look at. And so today, 5 means change, it means fulfillment, it means completion, sort of. Not like 9 is a sense of completion, but something coming to fulfillment. And really, that's what the embodiment of change is. When something comes to fruition, you have something now has changed. You have something new, don't you? So it kind of all makes sense when you think about it. And then today, we're in synchronicity with the day with the 5 card here. And here we have, sketchy brown clouds in the sky. Things are not known. Whatever is happening in this scene, we can't actually be certain about it. We see 2 people that looked like, they all 3 look like they've been through a battle of some kind, perhaps an argument of some kind. Swords is our intellectual presence. It represents the air element, or our thoughts, communication, things like that, decisions, reason, the mental activity of ourself is governed by the air sign, or by the air element. And we have 5 swords here with one guy with a smile on his face, picking up 3 of them. 2 are still on the ground. The other 2 are not paying attention. They're wrapped up in their own thing. One of them is holding his head. The guy in the middle, he's the furthest one in the distance, the closest to the water. And then you have the other guy, looks like he's got blood all over the top of him here. He's got his cloak or his cape over his shoulder. But you can see, then you've got this guy, he's got a funny smile on his face, and I don't like that. It's almost like reason run mad or something, like he's taking from them or something, maybe stealing their decisions or their thoughts, or trying to take something that doesn't belong to him. You know, there's another one. I think it's the Seven of Swords, where you see a guy running off with swords. You know, and to me, it feels like theft of intellectual property. So if you look at this in terms of, he either is the victorious one in the conversation that's been had, or the struggle that's been had between these folks, these three individuals, or perhaps five individuals, because see, you don't see the other two. You know, I mean, are they even alive? I mean, did they survive the battle? Um, was it a war of words? Was it, I mean, they look bloodied, so the words must have been painful, you know? Um, let's draw another card and see if we can get just a little bit more information about maybe what started this, or either that or where it's going. I mean, five denotes change. There's clearly been a change between these people. Either a battle has been lost by these two and maybe two others, and this guy is the victorious one. Maybe he's just cleaning up everybody's stuff, but and maybe there's no more conflict, but the smile on his face, you know, it's like he's laughing at them, you know, at their misfortune or their failure or their demise. He's laughing and he's picking up the spoils. You know, we have to ask ourselves when we get in these conversations with people that result in, you know, maybe an argument, are we, is it all about our own perspective, or are we really just trying to, you know, find out what the other person thinks about things? We don't always have to agree. You know, sometimes, yeah, you have to come to a decision of some kind, and an argument might ensue, you know, because they're all trying to figure out what they want to do. But the guy smiling bothers me. So I'm going to pull another card and see what it has to say. Almost like he's trying to get away with something. And here we have the Eight of Cups, and this is an interesting one. I mean, you have cups in balance in a way, but five are on the bottom, three are on the top. One is sitting aside from the others. You've got a moon above, you've got craggy cliffs there, little rocks coming up out of the water. Actually, not little ones, big ones, but not mountains. I don't think they represent mountains, but you can see the sky is ascending. Typically, the Eight of Cups indicates that you're letting go of emotions that no longer serve. That could be the case here, only it's not emotions, but it's trying to get your point across and nobody's listening. That's a difficult one, isn't it? When nobody hears you. Survivors are dealing with that right now, with feeling like the government isn't hearing them. And, you know, it's bad enough when your family doesn't, or your friends don't, or the police doesn't, or don't, whatever. But when it's your government and the president of the United States comes out and you know, says what he did yesterday or the other day, whenever it was, I guess the other night, or maybe it was yesterday in a rally. I'm not sure. It all runs together anymore, doesn't it? The disgusting things that he says. Well, anyway, what these two cards tell me is that, you know, this guy's had enough. I think we all have. You know, things have to make sense. To me, the air element is about making sense. It's about reason. It's about, you know, thoughts producing something that's, you know, more than, you know, chaos. Although, you know, it can happen, certainly, especially when wills come into play. Um, but eventually you become emotionally spent from it all, and you just have to walk away from what no longer serves you. And maybe that's where we're all coming now. I know for myself, watching all of this unfold has been very difficult. Um, we may find out today which direction this is going to go. Don't know what the final outcome will be, however, until that vote is taken, assuming that it is, and it looks like it will be. But we have to stand for something eventually. And it feels like the government that's in place right now doesn't stand for anything but greed and things happening behind the scenes that will further on that greed. And it just doesn't feel like the entire whole of the country and the needs of the country are even being taken into account. Just the handful of people that seem to run the world. People thought when they elected this guy that would stop. Well, no, it's not. It's getting even more firmly entrenched as we go. So, you've got people in grief, and you've got a guy who's just laughing, right? He's going to use whatever, comments he's got to try to control the narrative and control the message while the rest of the people are just, in the midst of their own grief over it all. And here, the road ahead might be difficult. We might be, because he's climbing a little bit, so the road ahead might be difficult, but we've got to put away this stuff that doesn't serve us. Government officials, politicians, lawmakers, presidents, judges, law enforcement, anyone in positions of power or authority over us that seem to want to do everything in spite of what's good for everyone else. They just focus on their own thing, and they make sure that they're covered. And the lies and the intrigue and the subterfuge that happens to make all that happen is just, it's never going to go away if we continue to circle the drain. And that seems to be what we're doing here. This guy has just said, I've had enough. I can't do anymore, and I've got to go now. So either we need a new direction in this country, one that is not dependent upon lying and subterfuge. I mean, can you imagine whether or not this guy did this or did the things he's being accused of or not? It's clear he had a party lifestyle. It's clear. He can deny it all he wants to, but it's in his own handwriting. So he had a party lifestyle. Now, I don't know about you, but if you ever attended college, I was not in a sorority. I chose not to be, specifically because I didn't want to be part of that lifestyle where these parties took place and all of that. I didn't want to be part of it. And so I wasn't. I had the opportunity to join a sorority. I chose not to. I didn't want to be part of any of the party stuff. I wasn't there in school for that. I was there to get a degree. So that's what I did. But we all knew, even I went to Portland State here in Portland, Oregon, and well, I went to 3 different schools, but that's the one I went for 3 years at and graduated from. We all knew about this whole, dangerous party crap that goes on in Ivy League schools. We all knew. I mean, periodically people would come from one of those schools and they'd share their experiences. So we knew, everyone knew. So for the senators to pretend that, oh, none of this could have happened, well, irrespective of that, his demeanor is not, whether you believe all that or you just reject all of it, it doesn't really matter, because his demeanor is not appropriate for the Supreme Court, and that's been clear from the get-go. So I don't know what the FBI found in the 6 other deals. I don't care. We know they found something. We know, because they stupidly let it loose that they found nothing. And even though some senators have seen that, in fact, in those 6 interviews or background checks, they did find something. So they know it's a lie, and they've called them out yesterday for it. So apparently this process is going to go forward based on a lie. And that's kind of what we've got here, a process going forward without anybody knowing. 100,000 documents on this guy. We've always seen every single one for every single Supreme Court nominee, but not this guy. Why? Why don't they want people to know about his background? What is in it? See, that's what I think. But whether there's anything like, sexual abuse or assault or anything else, there's enough there to say no. I don't know what the deal is. And I don't know why we're hanging on to something. See, we need to take command of this and let this go and move on to something else. Okay? That's what this is telling us today. Now, whether or not anyone's going to listen there, I have no idea. But I know there's an awful lot of very uncomfortable people. You've got some big council of churches or something, or a whole bunch of churches that came together and said, no, not this guy, not the right guy. You had over 650 law professors and I don't know what they all are. Some of them, I guess, are big names. Reportedly, I don't know who. I didn't read the whole list. There's a whole lot of them. They've all said the same thing, no, to this guy. So why aren't the Republican senators listening? What do they need from this guy? See, that's the other thing you got to ask yourself. What do they need from this guy? Something is wrong. We need a new direction. Doesn't matter how hard it is. Doesn't matter how hard the change will be to get that new direction. We need a new direction, though. Okay? We need a new direction. We cannot continue down this road. We have Thurzaz today as the rune. Now, Thurzaz is the third rune of the Elder Futhark. It is Thor's rune. It's a water element rune. So again, aligning with cups today. What it does is it pushes through. It's like offense as defense, okay? So one of the things, I'm a martial artist. I used to teach karate. One of the things that we taught our students was that sometimes, well, an opponent will typically telegraph a move. You might know a punch is going to be thrown because you see the shoulder move. Or maybe you catch out of the corner, out of your peripheral, you might see his hand come up. Or you just might see a little slight, they're going to come up with a punch, and so you see the shoulder move. So the observant martial artist is going to take that shot before he even gets a chance, right? You get them before they get you. So that's one strategy in martial arts. Well, that's also a strategy of Thurzaz. Now, if you look at Thurzaz, it kind of looks like a rose thorn, doesn't it? You've got the stem, and then you've got the little thorn there. Well, we know from when you pick, when you're working with anything that's thorned, you know that you stick your hand in there and you might pull back something more, right? Your hand might come back all bloody. The thing about Thurzaz, though, that really resonates with me, it's about breaking through. It's about getting through to somebody. It's about creating a change that is positive and lasting. It's about having the strength within to walk away from something like we did here with the Eight of Cups, to walk away when things no longer serve, to have the courage within to create change when change is needed. Now, when things are so, oh, well, that's nice. Skype is now enabled. I didn't tell them to do that. Why does my computer do things that I don't ask it to do? Anyway, so the thing about breaking through, though, is that we've gotten to this place where it happens when we deal only in polarity, okay? We see this when we think in either ors. We don't see the shades of gray in between, right? In a picture of something, there's rarely just two aspects to it, okay? Again, in martial arts, three aspects in Kempo. That's what we taught was Ed Parker's Kempo. You've got the attacker, the defender, and the bystander, okay? And the bystander is the one who's observing. We're watching two political parties right now at each other's throats. All right, we're vying for the soul, I guess, or the value system, I guess, of this country, one that represents generally all of us. I mean, there's always going to be people that don't value positive things, but somewhere maybe in their life they did. So, but on balance, we're trying to figure out who do we want to be? Do we want to be the country that spirits immigrant children away in the middle of the night to a concentration camp? Is that what we want to do? I don't think so. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think it's that. You know, you have to ask yourself, judge, even if you just judge your decisions by are they compassionate? Wouldn't we be miles ahead of where we are right now? I mean, I don't know. I'm just offering that. But Thurzaz, I mean, if you watch all of the Marvel movies, we see Thor, and what they're depicting there is someone who's willing to go to bat for people, who's willing to go and create and affect great change when it's needed in terms of protecting the greater good, in terms of protecting everybody, right? So even if you just look at that as the definition of Thurzaz, what we have here and what the tarot is telling us is that we got a bunch of crap going on here, okay? And we're going to have to make a decision about that. And we may have to walk away from this type of dialogue, this type of interaction, okay? It's not working for anybody. You had a senator say, stop the whole process for a few seconds by saying, yeah, it's tearing the country apart. Well, no kidding. I don't really know too many people that would want someone on a court if these things are true. So put an end to this. Figure out something else. Because unfortunately, what this is coming down to is that the things that are trying to happen don't make sense. But they're the sort of things that when they happen, they last forever. Because to try to undo certain things in this country is very difficult. So I don't know. I think it's time that we understand that there's a bunch of stuff and nonsense going on. A bunch of behind the scenes things, people not being allowed to do the investigation. You've got the head of the FBI who's just come out saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to keep track of all that happened here just in case I need to tell y'all someday. So you can bet that's coming out. So you can bet that a bunch of nonsense happened. Yeah. Guys, we need to figure something else out here. This duality that we're watching, this expression of polarity, doesn't work for anybody. We need to understand that we're more than that. That while not everybody, obviously a majority is going to rule, that's just how this works. At least if we weren't so polarized in what that is, then I think it would be a little easier to stomach, when maybe things don't go our way. It's like having a murderer come into town, become the mayor, become the chief of police, and then start carrying out systematic executions, and we're just all supposed to sit there and watch it and say nothing. But they're in charge, they're in power. There's nobody to stop them, see? It's a little like watching everything run amok, or a tornado come through your town and being unable to stop the destruction, isn't it? Well, I think we're at that place where we're going to have to make a decision now and decide, how are we going to go forward? Are we going to leave behind things that don't serve us? Or are we going to stay in this? Because we're being laughed at by this guy, okay? While the rest of us are just trying to figure out what on earth is going on here. This does not mean that you don't get involved. This just means a new direction and the acknowledgement that, hey, this isn't working for us anymore. So whether you're thinking about this in terms of what's happening on the political stage, or whether this is happening to you in your personal life, maybe you've got some things going on in your life right now that just you don't understand, and they're just upsetting. And at some point, you have to realize that You know, you put a pin in it. I love that expression. Lisa Gibbons used to say that. I think it was her mother who said it, and she used to say it when she had this talk show. I don't remember what it's called. I think her name was in it though. But anyway, she would say, "Let's put a pin in it," you know. And I loved that expression. So, but that came from her mother, I guess. Anyhow, sometimes we just have to do that though, don't we? And just say, "Okay, let's just set all this aside. Let's just do something else. Let's try a new approach. Let's try a new tactic. Let's see if we can't figure out a way to do what we need to do in a way that helps people and makes people feel safe and secure instead of upending the entire country, worrying over what's going to happen and what's really happening here. What's really going on? What's the real damage that's about to be done? Because I'll bet you it's not even Roe v. Wade. I'll bet it's something else. That's what it feels like. So use that inner voice to try to discern what's going on. I wrote a piece yesterday on discernment on the blog. Go over there and check it out if you like. I got a little ranty, but I'm not going to apologize for that. So, in any event, on this day of change, have a wonderful day. Go make something positive happen in your life. If not, go take a walk outside in your bare feet while you still can. It is October and fall is here and winter's approaching, and you might not be able to do that much longer. Do a little earthing and see how that makes you feel. I'll see you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. Be kind to one another, and blessed be.